40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Superspeedway Xfinity Series here at Talladega Superspeedway, and it is going to be race number 7 of the 14-race season, also getting close to that 4-race playoff as well. But we're not worried about the playoffs. We're not worried about points because, Brandon, we got fun paint schemes tonight. That's going to be the story for this evening. We get to check them out. So you and Boomer got to do all the fun looking over on Friday night. I got to kind of hop in the race and hang out with some of the guys. But man, I say I saw it on the track. There were some really good looking paint schemes Friday. I popped around a little bit tonight again, and same thing again. These guys have stepped it up, and I say I'm curious to see if anybody keeps these throwback paint schemes the rest of the season, because like I said, there's some really good looking ones. And I mean, I talked to Friday's winner there, the 24 of Everett Lane. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna run that Friday paint scheme again because I wanted it. Let's see if it keeps it going." So we'll see if maybe that superstition carries on onto a Sunday night race here too.
Yeah, Everett brought that good looking 24 truck to the track and really ran good. Had a bounce back week, but not only him, we had a lot of good cars to pick from. My favorite on Friday was the 51 of Jim Brooks. That silver and bounce back that he had with his truck looked really good. So I'm with you. I'm excited, not only for the paint schemes, but not a better track to throw it back to. Talladega, great in the 90s, put on one heck of a show. So hopefully these drivers throw the racing back to the 90s also.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun. And I'll say I'm biased, but I really like that one too because I may or may not have painted that one for him. And tonight's is going to look very similar because he's rocking the same paint scheme. I was teasing him on Friday saying he needs to have some sunglasses for it with all the chrome on there. So, but yeah, no, there's going to be some big hitters tonight on the paint scheme, friend. Again, we'll definitely go through them. We're going to be showing off the schemes throughout the course of the evening. So, and of course, as always, if there's a driver, if there's a paint scheme you want to see, if there's a driver you just want to see how the race is doing, pop in on the YouTube chat. Let us know who you want to see, and if there's a paint scheme you're interested in, we're always more than willing to jump over because I say we're here for you so you can watch what you enjoy. So, but yeah, Brandon, say again, last week though, Gabe Butler getting the win. He has had a huge season now, getting 3 of the wins with Cody getting those opening 2, but now Gabe 3 of the last 4 with Everett getting the last win here at Talladega 2 weeks ago. And then in the points, same thing, Gabe with the lead over Cody by about 14. And then it is now including the 1 drop week. So those drivers that maybe missed a week, they're still kind of on that level playing ground, which is, again, the reason for those drop weeks. So right now, that top 12 right now is Gary Huffines jumped 4 spots to get into that top 12. But again, a lot of racing left to go. So it'll be fun to see who's able to make those jumps here at the very end.
Yeah, the points are starting to get really, really tight, and this is, we brought it up, me and Boom, on Friday. We were talking, at what point with some races left to go, do you really start to change your mindset? And for these guys on the bubble, I mean, I think it's got to start here tonight. You got to start thinking about locking in these points as good as you can, because you got a lot of guys right there on the bubble that are teammates. And when you start getting those teammates, they're going to stick together. And if they're together, their points are going to be very similar. So when you're a guy on the bubble going against teammates, that's maybe 1 or 2 extra points that you got to get in front of. So I expect some great tight racing here as these guys start to finish up qualifying to get throwback weekend completed here.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how it shakes out. Looks like qualifying just has completed. And so what we can do is we can jump over to our starting grid and take a look. And right off the bat, you can see a great looking one here from the front. Let's go ahead and pull up that grid here. Get everything loaded right there. We go. Charles Johnson on pole position by 6,000ths of a second over Cody Nagels. And you can already see a great mellow yellow paint scheme for that 9 car. I said that one's one I always loved seeing. I know NASCAR we've seen. I think Kyle Larson ran it one time. It's just such a good looking paint scheme. You're going to have Dean Wilkinson in row number 2 in that number 55. He was not able to make the race on Friday night. He had a lot of frame rate issues. I was talking to him. Looks like everything's good to go. And again, one of those, you can see the Band-Aid paint scheme on his. That is a Michael Waltrip throwback, if I'm not mistaken. Robert Hooligan outside of row number 2. Everett Lane, Thomas Holder, row 3. Gabe Butler, Tom Dixon, row 4. And then Dude Conrad, Eric Laurie, those Bootknocker teammates finishing up row number 5 on the top 10. Then you got Bud Steele, Justin Davis, 11th and 12th. Continuing on, you got Todd Merkel there, 13th. Joshua Heibaugh, the winner of the paint scheme challenge on Friday night, in that he had the Baby Ruth car, Jeff Gordon paint scheme there in 14th. Quaby Brooks in 15th. Doug Webb, 16th. Gary Huffines, Hayden Davis there, 17th, 18th. Dale Rapp, then Robert Amaral, row number 10, 19th and 20th. Then you got Anthony Lane, Bob Fitzgerald, Maxwell Caldwell, and Jim Brooks will be our 24 starters for this evening.
Yeah, Guy, with you going through that starting order, I was peeking around at some of these cars already, I hope the fans that are watching are as excited as I am. Uh, I tell you what, Everett Lane has nailed it on back-to-back races. Growing up, that he is running tonight is one of my favorite paint schemes that 24 ever had. Was that greenish yellowish? That thing's really starting to pop. I really like that car.
Yeah, no, he's got some really good stuff. So no, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what he's got going for us tonight. And then so I'm going to make sure I get all my stuff set up for you here, Brandon. So I think I should have what you're looking for now. And so, yeah, so I'm jumping around here. So we'll do a couple quick little peeks at some of the schemes. Like I said, you see the 9 there. I love what Dean did here because Michael Watcher running the 55. So what did Dean do? He just flipped it that way. Or sorry, the 22. So he just flipped it so it looks like the 55. So just little subtleties that I can catch from these guys. It's always a lot of fun to see. Thomas Holder, he has the number 11 Kodak car. Very iconic one there as well. So you can choose if you want it to be a Sterling Marlin car or a Ernie Irvan car. Gabe Butler, Hot Wheels, once again. That one, again, very iconic with the Kyle Petty paint scheme. What was it? Friday night, Bud Steele went with Alan Kwiatkowski. Tonight, he has Mark Martin in that number 6 machine. And then I was watching Justin Davis's car. That car, it's going to be easy to spot. I don't know if anybody was sponsored by Surge, but that was definitely a very 90s brand, if I'm not mistaken, for kind of the crazy sodas that they had around that time frame.
Yeah, man, Surge, I love this weekend. It takes me back, man, when I was a kid. That's awesome, you know. It makes me want to go get one of those drinks and see what it would do with a Mento in it. We all know Coke can be a little bit fun, but still, that race car right there says 90s all over it. It just screams 90s.
Yeah, no, it exactly does. So we're going to jump up front, though, Brandon, because the pace car's about to pull off. And again, Talladega, so again, longer start-finish line, so they'll come through the travel before we get underway. Again, it's going to be Charles Johnson, Cody Nagels leading that front row here. Dean Wilkinson, Robert Hooligan in row number 2 as they head towards that restart zone here. And we are about to get underway. 75 laps scheduled distance here at Talladega. 2 fast repairs available, 2 green-white checkers as we are green.
Good start there by the 9 of Charles Johnson running that old mellow yellow. Did you think before he got in the rig tonight he wore the Tom Cruise glasses? You think he went in there, threw on the leather jacket, put on the glasses, and came in with that mindset? That 9's been running really good. We talked about him on Friday over there, how good it's been there. Let's see if it bounces back here tonight as he leads him down the backstretch.
Yeah, so, and that's exactly it too. Some of the little extra things you can have fun with. And yeah, he's in a perfect spot too because he's got his teammate there with that 55 Dean Wilkinson pushing him as they come through 3 and 4. Outside line though, Robert Hooligan, great pusher in that 126 car as well there. So say that outside line, we know what Cody can do, and we know Robert's got plenty of pace there too. And then right behind them, Tom Dixon, you see that 411, that Haviland car. Same thing, kind of choose who you want it to be. It could be Davey Lawson, it could be Ernie Irvan, so you could have Ernie Irvan there sitting in that 11 and the 411 should you choose to. So if you're a fan of that driver, you got the perfect paint schemes going nose to tail there.
Yeah, definitely some great paint schemes. The Haviland, a very, very iconic paint scheme. Unfortunately, some tragic came with that paint scheme, especially here at Talladega, unfortunately for Davey. But these guys, I want to see how teammates work. These ain't the same paint schemes. Some of the guys that's been running with Area 51 has ran some of the same paint schemes for the most part. So it's going to be interesting to see. I didn't really ask on Friday, but how tough is it going to be to know exactly who you're around? Because maybe the guy is not in the same looking car that he's been. Maybe he drives a black car, now he's in a green car or something like that. So communication going to be a little bit difficult here tonight with the drivers on top of it.
That's a really good point, actually, and you're exactly right, because when I was talking to some drivers pre-race, even some of the teammates saying, hey, what paint scheme are you running tonight? And so they're like, okay, let me go take a look. They're like, oh, it's a really good paint scheme. But you're right, though. If you're used to Gabe in being in an 88 car, I mean, you expect to see Guinness. And so you see this, you see the Hot Wheels car, and it's like, wait a second, who is that? And so, yeah, I'm sure if and when you figure out it's Gabe, you're either really happy or really nervous, because it just depends on if he's trying to pass you or maybe push you. But you can see, though, you got 3 boot knockers lined up there, nose to tail. You got Everett Lane there in that Nicorette one. You talked about the chrome just pops so nicely on that one. Great paint scheme for him. Then Gabe, of course, and then Duke Conrad there. I say he already was throwing it back before we did the throwback weekend in that number 8. And so he was trying to work the system though on you, Brandon, because he was trying to find out if he could find a picture of you to throw on that car to get a little bit of extra love. So, but yeah, again, that paint scheme, like you said, on the 8 car, that's always been one that just everything about it just pops so nicely.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to throw a picture of me on, that's how you win paint scheme of the night. I mean, it would probably be the best looking race car out there, if I would say. No, just kidding. But speaking of those guys with Team Bootnacker, the 071 and some of those guys on the bubble for the playoffs, we spoke with Gabe, when he pulled off that win 2 weeks ago because of the bye week. They said, hey, we're going to try to get our teammates up here. So it's going to see their driving style is going to have to change maybe a little bit tonight, maybe be more of a pusher than trying to be aggressive and get to that front. So it's going to see how much does that really change the chemistry when you go from a driver that wants to be aggressive the whole race and get up there to lead as much to now what can we do to get our teammates up there and get them in the playoffs so it gives us a better shot of winning a championship. So a lot of strategies coming in here tonight, and we haven't even got to the pit road situation yet.
Exactly right. And it's like another one of those paint schemes. Josh, I see Dean Wilkinson down on the apron here in the 55. I think he just was able to slot back up in time there, but looked like very, very close call for those top couple spots here. I unfortunately didn't quite see what exactly happened there, but you saw Dean drop down and able to get a slot in. I think that's probably Everett cutting him some slack and letting him get back in line there. So again, just really good heads up, great respect for those guys to make that happen. I'm gonna go a little bit further back here because we got some Batman scheme action going on. You got the 19 of Hayden Davis there. He is in that Batman machine, and he is or is not going to like what he sees behind him because he's got the Joker car right behind him as well. And that's Gary Huffines there in that 00. And I was doing some digging, trying to make sure if I have the right drivers with them. And so if I'm not mistaken, Hayden in the 19, that is going to be a Dale Jarrett paint scheme for that Batman car. And then the 00, Kenny Irwin Jr. there. So again, it's really, really cool. And saying these guys working together on the kind of the theme, if you will, too. So not just a throwback, but a themed throwback. So hats off to those two.
Yeah, we seen that on Friday, and I like it. It's 90s throwback. It's not, we're running, the Xfinity cars, but it's 90s throwback weekend. We seen somebody bring out the Mighty Ducks paint scheme on Friday night, and that was pretty cool to see. But speaking of throwback weekend, maybe going down that backstretch a couple laps ago, you think maybe somebody let the lead out of the jack post, or?
Yeah, and you're right though. There was definitely a lot of attempts of things to help them out a little bit as things go. But I did notice too, a little further back, there was a little separation. Looks like they're regrouping now. Robert Amaral, Maxwell Caldwell, Anthony Lane, Jim Brooks. They all had a little bit of a drop off the front pack, but now they've regrouped nicely. And saying there's that paint scheme I was referring to for you a little earlier there. Like I said, went with the same scheme there with that chrome. I grew up with racing through my dad, and kind of where I kind of honestly wound up a Kenseth fan just through the car number association with the 17 because of Darrell Waltrip and my dad. And remember going to race in Phoenix when the hill was actually free, and it was just, there was nothing there. It was literally just dirt, and so you try to figure out something. And so really, really cool to kind of have that come a little bit first full circle. And then, of course, with me being that Kenseth fanboy, my brother was able to make a race tonight in that 53. And so he's got that Kenseth Lycos car where he had a really good finish at Daytona. That gave him enough money to make the next race at Rockingham. And he was able to beat Tony Stewart to win that race. And that's kind of what helped really propel his career. So, again, selfishly for me, and the Rockingham race, they kept that sponsor in the car as a thank you to Lycos for sponsoring for Daytona. So just kind of crazy how that all worked out with them then coming on board full time for I think the next 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
And the hit, we talk about how much time. I think it was Charles that said it took him about an hour and a half to 2 hours to work on that 9 truck from Friday night. So for you to take the time, and not only that, but the time to sit back and learn the history of that is what makes these paint schemes so cool, is that, it's a paint scheme, but what the paint scheme sometimes means to people, and for you to have that connection with your family, with a paint scheme and a driver, that's what racing's all about. It's, you want to win, but what memories can you make, or what memories have you made, and what an awesome night here to make some more memories with Area 51.
No, exactly right. And then I think that's also, like I said, it's a big family thing for a lot of people. Like, oh, and how'd you get into racing? It's going to be somewhere family related for the most part. I did notice, though, was I was looking off the nose there, or the roof, I should say, of Dean Wilkinson. We mentioned that moment where the 55 was kind of down on the apron on the backstretch. That 9 car, he's got a little bit of a punched-in right rear fender there. I'll say, well, actually, let's hop on with Cody here. We can get another look at it. But right there, you can see that right rear has definitely got a crinkle to it. Won't hurt the car by any means, but definitely a little bit of contact somewhere in the course of this race by those guys. Again, pushing hard here. Doesn't matter if you're in the front and mid-pack. I say these guys are going to be racing hard. And Brendan, I was talking to some of the guys pre-race. Fuel number I was hearing about 22, 23 in that window, so should be pretty much no question a 3-stop race. So we'll see again strategy-wise, because I did see there was a bit of a difference on the Friday race. Some drivers had to pit a little earlier than others, and it would stretch out a little bit. So we'll have to see if we're going to have that big crowd of pits, or are we going to see some guys space it out a little bit. But I'm going to jump over to Joshua Highball, that number 101 Lipton car. Saying this one, again, trying to do some digging. I believe Johnny Benson paint scheme for that one, and which is really cool as well, because, again, not a name that maybe a lot of people are super familiar with, but definitely was a big name in NASCAR. Just unfortunately never had really the big rides, I feel like, that a lot of other drivers did. So again, also I think this was probably one of his Busch rides, if I'm not mistaken, versus when he got over onto the Cup side.
Yeah, definitely a throwback for me. Johnny Benson, man, what a name to bring back. I haven't heard that from forever ago, man. That's what this weekend is about, bringing back the memories, man. That's so crazy. I would have never guessed in a million years, But for you to have that history on this car, it's also a learning curve, not only for me, but everybody that's tuned in here to watch tonight. And I want to get a fan vote. I want to, if you guys can get in the chat tonight, let's hear what your favorite paint scheme is tonight. Just not from us, but what you guys see as we go through the field tonight. Doesn't have to be right now or anytime soon. When you see a nice one you like, drop it in there and let us know about it.
Yeah, and I agree. We talked pre-race, haven't got to show it off yet. Bob Fitzgerald, I mean, again, everybody talks about the Earnhardt, the Black 3 scheme, but I don't know, that Wheaties car was always a really fun one for me, and that's exactly what he's got with the good wrench on the side too. And so, yeah, so also a really good-looking scheme for Bob there. And so, yeah, so really cool to see, again, just some of the stuff that they do and are able to make happen. And I'll say, obviously, he had a few that were really big. Obviously, Wrangler was also a huge paint scheme for him. So, but yeah, really fun, like I said, some of the ones that are coming out here. And I say, obviously, we're not going to spoil any decisions yet, but you've got the pressure on your shoulders, Brandon, because you're going to have to, even though your face isn't on that 8 car, you're going to have to try to figure out which one of these you like the most here tonight, and we'll have to let them kind of announce the winner and have a chat with them after the race tonight.
Yeah, speaking of the 8, I guess Junior would have been a little bit later there, but man, it's not a 90s theme, but that 8, when he ran it this past weekend, that baseball scheme that they brought with that 18 Dale Jr., man, it looks so awesome this past weekend on that late model. Didn't have really the ride he was going around, seeing he got turned on the front stretch, but man, when you bring some iconic paint schemes to the track, it puts guys on notice. And that's one of my favorite things about racing, the creativity, just like you just spoke with the history. Oh, it looks like maybe the 126 is blowing up. This could cause some problems.
The motor. We're going to have a huge wreck here in 1 and 2. That's going to collect a handful of cars there. The 101 there, the 11. I think I just saw the 51 get a piece as well. And that is going to put our first caution out. I think we've talked about it. Didn't talk about it yet tonight. But that's the engine just got too hot. Couldn't get it cooled back off, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that's going to be probably for sure a fast repair for the 126. He's going to have to tow that, obviously, without the motor. Robert Amaral there, you can see. I think he doesn't look too worse for wear here in that 77. Maybe a little crinkle. Yeah, a little bit in the right rear and left front. I think he might be okay. Thomas Holder, unfortunately, that car, that's fast repair number 1 for sure for him. So you can see you can see the right or left front just completely pointed to the right. So he's probably got that. Yeah, actually here, looks good. Look at this. Look how far he's turning that wheel to the right to go left here. That's how bad that suspension's broken, unfortunately, for Robert here. Hayden Davis, actually, he's jumping straight to pit road. Same thing, that right front completely locked down on his Batman paint scheme. So, yeah, so unfortunately, a number of drivers involved on this one. Like I said, I think I saw a few others here. Yeah, you see Joshua Highball, same thing for him. I know Jim Brooks had a little bit of right front. Yeah, there it is as well. So now it's that decision of, do you take that fast repair or not? Do you try to get it fixed manually? So let's go back. We'll take a look. I mean, we saw how it occurred, obviously. Unfortunately, Thomas Holder, that motor just gave way in that, or sorry, Robert Hooligan, I should say, that motor gave way. So let's back it up a little bit here. And actually, surprisingly, it popped after he finally got clear, but I think he used too much motor to get Cody clear, that he just wasn't able to get that temperature back down quick enough. And so we saw it live. You saw that puff of smoke. We'll see it here on the replay. And then you'll see as he comes into one, you're going to see the kind of that puff. And unfortunately, then just everybody's just trying right there. And then you see the 11 just couldn't get reacted quick enough there. And then 411 Tom Dixon, same thing. At this point, it's like he puts the brakes on in front of you, and that gets him up just into the right rear of the 11 Thomas Holder. Almost got it clear. So it looks like Tom Dixon probably a piece as well. And you can see actually on the inside lane, looks like the 071 there. A few cars, maybe a little bit of contact. And then from there, look at Eric Laurie. He gets kind of turned for a pretty good slide there as well. And then you can see in the background the number of cars. Some good off-roading there as well in the background. Trying to catch, that's the 81. And I believe that's not the 52. Couldn't tell which car that was. Oh, actually, no, it is the 52. Some good off-roading there by Dale Rapp there as well, as Anthony Lane to get those cars pointed back in the right direction. So pit stop's already completed here. Strategy is already afoot. Gabe Butler just drove right through pit lane here, Brandon, getting that bonus point out of the way, and then he'll come in this next time around and get fuel in that car. And then looking on the pit stop front of things, Dale Rapp about 24 seconds. So that means probably some manual damage repairs for him. The car looks nice and clean. Maxwell Caldwell about 30 seconds for him. 40 seconds for Anthony Lane. 40 seconds for Joshua Highbaugh. So that's great news for those guys. That means probably no fast repair taken, although Joshua Highbaugh, I'm going to say, if he's spying on the broadcast, that nose looks like fast repair territory to me, because both ends are pushed in onto the fenders. Eric Laurie is about a minute 6. He looks all right to me. And then Robert's still sitting on pit road. He's going to get everything he can fixed. You just saw the right front get a little bit of repairs done there. And you'll see the right rear, if it's able to get some repairs done, he'll be able to get a little bit more damage repaired. But yeah, like I said, we know Robert Hooligan. There's no question. One, he's towing. Two, he needs that fast repair. Jim Brooks, I would suspect, based on where he is, I'm thinking that's a fast repair for that 51 car as well. So unfortunately, a number of cars involved there. But again, that's the nice part about having those couple fast repairs. And Robert rolling out of pit road now. And you can see that right rear is good, but I don't think he's going to beat the pace car out of pit road. It's going to be close, I believe. Where is that pace car? I think actually he may have just done it here. Or, wait, there's the 11. Where's our pace car at? There he is. So actually, no, he's good. Let's say the 11 threw me off a little bit. Everybody's doubling up now. And then it looks like Dude Conrad on back topping off here. Include the 53, the 00, the 88. We mentioned Gabe driving through. So, got to do some math here now, Brandon. That's always a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right. But I think the one person that it took the biggest sigh of relief out of that was the 071. I know he got a little bit around there, but he's had some just unfortunate luck, and that's a win right there, not to have to use a fast repair early. He just got a little bit sideways. And I know he's not here tonight, but I'm going to throw, me and Boom was talking on Friday, and I hate to say it, but it might have been commentator's curse, because at the end of the race, we talked about just how these cars have been able to push and how comfortable they were, and we haven't been having them problems. And tonight, it pops right back up. So one thing that these drivers maybe thought was away was the temperatures, and he was able to push a little bit harder. And early tonight, we see the motor, even when you get clear, it can still give away.
Yeah, and I mean, I do, again, and learning a lot from my Friday race. It had been a little while since I've hopped in the cars, and I mean, these guys, they were talking during the race. They were saying, like, hey, I gotta back off. I'm too hot. Or basically, like, if you clear, you gotta take it because I'm overheating. And so, yeah, so no, there was a lot of decision making having to be done if and when to try to do that. So I think that's what we saw there, unfortunately, for that 126. I can tell you, I believe, yeah, Robert is back out on track. I believe probably 2 down. Wait for my timing scoring to update here. The 11 car trying to get lined up in the right spot here, so that's going to be a little bit of a gaggle trying to get that squared away. But actually, no, it looks like lights put back on the pace car, I think, to try to get this timing and sorted back out correctly. So we'll let that get sorted out here.
Yeah, and with this pace car going around one more lap, another, I think when we get back green, 18 or 19 laps into this, it's going to throw a huge wrench into everybody's strategy. If you had a plan, it is definitely changed up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to throw some numbers around to see. I don't think it changes anything, but like I said, it does change how often where you might have to pit, and again, maybe separate yourself a little bit. So, Jack, good to see you, sir. Hope you are doing well, and hopefully the weather, I say, that sounds like, I mean, I've seen pictures. I say I've never been out that way, Victoria, British Columbia, but I would assume very beautiful out there right now. Hope you're having a good time. Miss you on track. We're going to put you on the spot, though, Jack. If while you're watching, if you have a moment, if you see a paint scheme you like that's one of your favorites, let us know. You might be able to influence our decisions through the course of this evening.
Yeah, great there for Jack. I believe he was doing pretty good. I believe he was sitting 5th or so in points. So
Yep,
tough
top
break
5.
for him to, tough break for him to miss tonight. But glad he's tuning in and gonna drop a little bit. So that's gonna throw another wrench into the points of how everything's running.
I think that would count for his drop week as well, because I'm showing he had 6 starts, so I think he had made all the races up to this one. So this would fall under a drop week. I was looking at drivers that had already missed one, and Dude Conrad was one that missed one. So basically, some of these guys have run all 6. Dude is a driver that has run 5 of the 6. So yeah, so that's where those drop weeks come into play, where it just drops your worst race, or of course if you don't make a race, it drops that one. So, but yeah, so we're gonna see back up front here. You got Cody on the outside line. You got Everett here on the inside. Then Dean Wilkinson there on the outside. Charles Johnson. So pretty much very similar positions for these top ones. I haven't really talked about Doug Webb though. He is up 10 spots in that 714 car. So quietly charging his way on up. As now the pace car is back off. Everybody's lined up where they need to be, it looks like. As we're about to get going here. Start lap number 19, Brennan. As green flag's back out and we are underway.
Yeah, good start there by the 16 of Cody Nagels, but going to need some help back there. Some big gap spread out from him. And I believe that's the 55, correct? The upside down. Right there, he just dropped back into line, but a good start there for the 16. And the 16 really need to bounce back. Like you said, didn't have the last couple weeks that he's wanted, and I'm pretty sure he's itching to put that thing back in victory lane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cody does enjoy getting some wins in these things. But yeah, like I said, maybe too big of a lead there because he saw the momentum shift as the 24 and the 9. Will they both clear? No, not quite. And you can see Everett try to see, can I clear? Can I clear? Can't quite do it. Had to get back down to the bottom just in time.
Yeah, you were talking about, you ran on Friday, and how I know it's a different car, and but it's at the track that we raced at on Friday, and when you're in this pack like this, Gael, how much time we see these big moves happen. How much time do you think you have in the race car? Hey, I got an opening like it just was to make that decision. We got a little bit of a bobble here in the back.
Yes, I saw that too. Just a little check up there.
Yeah, as a driver, as you're racing with these guys, how were you decisive to say, hey, I got to make this move now? As we seen you and the 51 were able to make your way up through the field.
It was a lot of it was timing and momentum, where there was one point in the race I really remember where we knew we had more fuel than the guys in front, and so at one point we were talking in Discord, and again kind of the whole team thing. So I was working with my dad in that and said, okay, when we get a run, we need to try to jump up top and go. And so we got a good run. I jumped up top with him, and then it was like we put a parachute out, because basically with everybody shifting lanes, everybody started going quicker. And as I say, you can see moving up to the top there, you saw the 52 Dale Rapp. He's going to try to go with the 11 and the 88 here, trying to get that third lane going. But yeah, so no, we went up top, and the engine's making lots of noise, but we weren't going anywhere just because the pace had jumped up so much just right at the same time that we decided to try to make that move. So it's all about making the move at the right time. I feel like the momentum is big too, where if you're going the same speed as somebody, you jump up top, you're not going to go anywhere. You got to kind of get that timing where you get a really good exit, or maybe the inside line checks up, then you go and you try to make it happen. And of course, when things start to cycle, like I said, when the inside lane starts to kind of get everybody because they know pit stops are about to happen, that's usually when I try to go like three or so laps, I would say, before that pit stop happens for the front runners. Like right now, Cody and Everett, we know they're burning the most fuel. We say, okay, they're going to pit the earliest. You have a rough idea of you know when they're going to come in based on what you have. Okay, they'll come in maybe one lap before me, and you know they'll have teammates go with them and everything too. So it's really tough to do. And then there was the one point, I know you talked to Everett a little bit about it on Friday. I chatted with him as well pre-race tonight, and where I had a great run. I was getting a lot of momentum catching the field again after a pit stop, and he keyed up and say, hey, go to the top. And I was like, and I wasn't confident about doing it, so I said, I'm just going to stay in the bottom, you can go ahead up top. Also because I was wanting to make sure I picked up my dad in the 51 car. And I mean, hindsight, you look back at it now, it's like, man, he went on and won the race. If I had done that, that could have put me in a position to try to win this thing. So it's one of those things where I'm definitely rusty on this, and Everett knows you can't wait. When you have the momentum, you got to take it.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head. You know, when I spoke with Charles, he brought back the reference to real racing and like having the egg under the pedal. And I'm always a student of the game. I always want to learn, when we spoke with Charles, how to be close to that bumper, but not always hitting the bumper. And he's been up front tonight, and I've really been watching that, how close, even him with the 24, how good them guys are to get into the bumper and sticking right there without hitting them. It's just an art form that these guys have mastered, and it's awesome to hear their feedback and give their feedback, and not want to be a driver that, holds all the knowledge in. And Charles, he spoke out and said, it took me a year and a half, 2 years to really understand this racing, and it's still tough to this day. And he races sometimes 7 days a week. So to the art of this racing, it's not just hopping in the car and slamming on the gas and just pushing the guy around the track. There is definitely an art form to it, and we get to see some of the best of it do it every Friday and Sunday. It's a real privilege.
And you make a really good point on that as well, Brandon, is just not running to the back of these guys and shoving them down. And it's even more important and more apparent in these cars, because we've seen before, when you bump these guys, depending on how and where you bump them, it off centers the car a lot too. So there is something to be said about staying as close as you can without giving them that shot, just for the sake of the just avoiding that kind of that little move, if you will, that little bobble one way or the other. And saying, in some of the racing I've done, there's always been kind of that, I'd say unwritten rule, because I know people can do it and are successful at it, where they basically say don't push the pusher, because it almost, when you kind of get the 3-car tandem, a lot of times it just kind of unsettles all 3 cars, and a lot of times I've seen a wreck from that happening. But what I do see happening, though, is look at that top line, though. You got Holder, you've got Butler, you got Conrad, and you've got Laurie. You got all the boot knockers pretty much here lined up top here, and they want to get to the front here. So we're going to get 4 cars here, 3 wide at the front.
Yeah, that middle lane really starting to fizzle out, and you can see some guys even back here as we look. They're deciding, big move there by Everett to go ahead and take the middle, and maybe that was even just to cool the 9 off. He had been right behind him, and maybe that's where we see tonight with the 126 with these guys, how close they are pushing and just keeping that throttle, not all the way down, but down far enough where that temperature is just constantly rising and rising and rising. And if you're stuck there in the middle lane like they are, that could cause some problems as the outside lane starting to fizzle out a little bit more as the middle lane gets a few more cars back into it. But the 24 Everett lane, he's kept it up there, and he's going to lead us off to turn 4.
Yeah, he's been working the lanes for sure. And again, this isn't one of those things where you just want to be up front to be up front. We talked about the bonus points, that those always come into play in these races. So you get the 1 bonus point for leading a lap, and then you get the extra bonus points as well for leading the most laps. So That's going to be crucial. So that's why you see these guys, Everett and Cody, just running really hard here, trying to get everything they can. And I don't know, I just have to do a quick check here. I don't know if Charles has mentioned the magic lap, I guess we could call it. So I'm going to go try to take a quick peek here and see if there is an announcement of it. So I actually did not think about that one. Yep, lap 45 is the magic number for tonight here, Brandon. So that'll be, again, at the completion of 45. We'll see who's up front there. And actually, that was another thing. I was looking at that magic number on Friday night. I think it was lap 52. And so we had to pit coming to lap 52, so we weren't back up to speed. I was thinking that we'd be perfect, where we would complete lap 52 at the front, but I was actually one lap off, where had it been one lap earlier, one lap later, we would have actually been able to cross line towards the front of the field there on the pit exit. So I almost was able to get some strategy with the drivers I was working with on Friday night, but wasn't quite to be. But again, you can see, though, we've got all 3 lanes now very strong. A lot of numbers. Looks like 5 is the minimum in that middle lane. But you can see Charles just giving Cody everything he can right now. And also got to give some love over to Charles's wife, Lynn, not feeling 100%. So I'll say, Lynn, if you're watching, or if Charles makes you watch a little bit later on tonight or tomorrow, hope you are feeling better soon. And definitely always appreciate everything that you're doing with the league, and also helping Charles do with the league as well. It definitely is much appreciated.
Yeah, not only that, but I believe, and apologize if I'm wrong, but I think she even had a little bit of say on Friday night with picking the paint scheme. So thanks to her for, hopping out and, taking the time to get out here and look at some race cars. And everybody, normally has some plans on Friday, but to be able to peek in here and help pick out a car that was really awesome of her. So I hope she is feeling better and gets back well. And these guys are really trying to camp up, and it's really going to throw a wrench in some things now. These guys had that one extra lap under caution. We talked about maybe won't mess up some things there. But if you start to count 20 to 23 laps after lap 20, that puts us right around the same situation you ran into on Boom Friday with Gael with the magic lap. We're at 45, 23, 22 laps. That puts us about lap 43. So is that you think maybe going to change some of these guys' pit strategy? Maybe pit early and be in the lead so they're already done and can be up to speed, so they lead that lap 45?
Yeah, it's going to be a good question. Is exactly that, and I don't think anybody's going to pull it off where they can go all the way to. I was thinking about the drivers that are maybe saving fuel. You see Cody's going to get to the inside lane there. Thomas very close, couldn't quite clear there. And I was going to mention Gabe is one of those that did top off on lap 17. He's one of the furthest up that did top off there. Some of the other guys that topped off on 17, Hayden Davis in that number 19 car. He is, which lane is he rolling right now? He is in the top lane as well. Nope, he's in the middle lane there. He is in the 19. And then a little further back there, Gary Huff finds the 00. Also one of those that went to 17. So then I look at Joshua Highball, though, in that 101, kind of running that middle lane. So there's a kind of a mixed bag of who pitted when. Some drivers that have been a little bit quieter, I feel like, tonight, that we haven't had a chance to talk about a ton. Todd Merkel in the 2, as I said, he's right in the thick of this thing. And another one having a quiet evening so far. Again, this is just, I know Maxwell, you know he's going to be up there at some point. But he's just biding his time in that 94, so expect to see him make a charge at some point. But he is one of those that did pit at 17 as well, topped off on that one to go. And so he's probably saving a ton of fuel there in that 94 car. A little bit of contact there at 24 and 16 through the tri-oval.
Yeah, just high-fiving, nothing, just letting them guys know, hey, I'm right here. You ain't getting too far away from me. And I'm glad you touched on it there with the 00. Gary Huff finds when last week, when a lot of people were having problems at Daytona, not only on Friday but on Sunday also, he was able to take a real big advantage of that, got a pretty good finish. That jumped him 4 or 5 spots, I believe, in the points, and that puts him last for on the bubble, sitting right there in 12. So Gary trying to keep that momentum up and keep rolling and keep moving ahead in these points, as these guys are, you can put about 20 of them under a blanket right now, Gael.
Yeah, I mean, right now you can see the top 20 all the way to the 52 of Dale Rapp. They're within still 1 second of the leader. So that's just how, like you said, how packed up it is right here. And so I always talk about where I feel the safest in these groups. And it would probably be right around where Dale Rapp is, Maxwell Caldwell. I like to be just maybe a car length or two when they're running 3x3 like they have been. Yeah, I like to have a little bit of wiggle room just in case. I say you never want to expect the worst, but you kind of have to be prepared for it sometimes. And when you're in that spot, I mean, also, where are you going to go? Like, you've got all the lanes blocked. You could maybe force a fourth lane. You won't be very popular if you do, and if something happens because of it. But yeah, so right now I like that spot that they're in, just saving fuel, putting themselves in a good position. And again, looking at the pit stop times, pitted on lap 15, we're about to hit 34, so we're going to be right around that 20 lap mark here shortly. And again, I was hearing about 23, 22 range, and with that extra caution lap too. So I think realistically they can probably get to, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking Brennan probably can get to about 30, 38, maybe 39. I feel like might be about the stretch for these guys, especially those that did not top off.
Yeah, it's gonna be cutting it close. And one thing I noticed, we all season long, not only here but on Fridays when the 16 runs, he bounces around so much, and I kept on wondering. I'm like, man, he's been pretty hooked to that middle lane, and him and Charles has been running really good tonight. And I scrolled down and I seen that them guys are working out of the same team tonight, so we know how Cody moves around and helps out different guys. With him running solo. Tonight he's going to be running with that TW Motorsports, so I'm pretty sure those fellas was happy to see him hop in there tonight. And another fella that's probably not going to get much credit, and he runs a 90s throwback in my eyes every single week. That's that 2 of Todd Merkel running right there in the middle. Great retro scheme. Keeps it plain basic, and that always reminds me of an old school car right there.
Yeah, I know. I was saying, maybe a little bit of a door there with the 411 and the 11, but everybody's still good to go. Yeah, no, I was saying, and love Todd. I say he's done a lot of stuff helping with the league. I say he's been a big part of the league as well, not just on the super speedway side, but he'd been doing a lot when we were doing kind of the NASCAR oval stuff. And here you go, though. You already see some of the movement starting to happen. Some drivers starting to make their way down to the bottom. Saw the 16 there. We saw the 9 car get down there. So you've got a couple TW guys now lined up on that inside line with the 16, the 9, the 55. So, yeah, so it's starting to maybe some decisions being made here. But that's exactly what that middle lane was looking to see, because look at Thomas, look at Gabe now. They're able to lead that middle lane, not the top lane. And that little extra distance to the bottom is exactly what they want to have here.
Yeah, and also what they did is they just took Everett and said, hey, your teammate's not dropping in here behind you or in front of you. We're not going to give you the gap to line up knowing pit stops is coming. We know these guys are competitive. Yeah, they're friends, but you got to take the competitiveness to a whole nother level. And sometimes it's not letting them guys, be next to each other when they pit. And if we're going to talk about anything, TW with Dean Wilkinson, he's aced coming to pit road. But the 88, 24, and those guys, they have really executed the exit of leaving pit road and being together, and they have sometimes grown really, really big leads leaving pit road because of that. So I don't know if that's what the TW guys planned here tonight with Cody Nagels, or if that's just the way it happened, but that's definitely going to cause a little bit of problem there for Bootknocker when they come to pit.
And that's a really good point too, is the pit stops, again, kind of just bouncing from what I was able to experience on Friday, is the communication. So it wasn't just hey, we're pitting this time. It's the knowing where your pit stall is in relation to the guys you're pitting with, which then bases kind of on where you're going to kind of position your car coming to pit road. So if a lot of times if you have one of the earliest pit stalls getting into pit road, they usually have you kind of go all the way to the left. So what I would wind up doing was my dad and I, we qualified pretty far back. So it's okay, we're going to kind of run bottom or middle. And then one of our teammates, if they were qualified towards the front, say, okay, you take the top side. And that way we all stagger a little bit, have that little bit of space just in case someone gets a little bit hot on the entry, or maybe someone slows down a little bit more than the other expected, and just gives us that little extra wiggle room to avoid any contact getting into pit road. And as I say that here, you see the 77 Robert Amaral. He actually had just pitted there, and he's going to run down the apron, let everybody clear on through. Nice part about Talladega is there's plenty of speed to be had here on the apron. You can see Maxwell's trying to give him some room to slide up here. I think he's going to pop in right there. I think Robert's going to possibly... I think Robert's trying to give him a little bit of love here, try to get him back into that draft. So we'll see. Oh, as I said, here comes some pit stops here.
Yeah, we've seen a couple guys come down here. The 11, we seen him jump down along with Everett Lane. He was already on the inside. But that 24, he was trying to give space to let Gabe in. The 9 of Charles Johnson right there on his bumper, pushing him. I seen maybe a little bit of wiggle out of the 24. The 9 of them guys, they were not letting that happen. They were keeping that line tight, and that's what you got to do. There's some things that coming in these super speedway races that comes to strategy, and when you can break that up, that just helps your team. And now you're telling the 88, hey, when you come out of pit road, you're gonna have to be pushing one of us and not your teammate. As we seen the 11 and the 24, two of them Team Bootnakas come in early with 3 cars, and that can cause some hiccup for them 3 cars if they don't get back up to speed right away, and these guys are out here hauling around and not coming to pit road this time. That could maybe cause some problems for the 24 and 11.
It's gonna cause problems, Brandon. I just went back and I'm looking at the pit stop times, and we'll jump over to Everett Lane. Look at the gap he has on Doug Webb, but then here's the bigger issue. Look where Thomas Holder is, and the reason why Everett and Thomas had about 9.5-ish seconds. Thomas Holder 15 seconds, so he wasn't able to switch back off from the 4 tires to 2 or fuel only. So just either maybe a mistake, or sometimes drivers have mentioned that for whatever reason it toggles you back to 4, and so that's what we're seeing right there. Is just unfortunately the 11 car took 4 tires there, and that's what's dropped him off those guys. So now he's going to be in a tough spot here under the screen flag cycle. What I am seeing though is some of these drivers starting to move to the top here. As here come the TW crowd that we just talked about. Big lockups there. Eric Lorry's going to actually come in with them. We can see there's Charles, there is Cody, Tom Dixon, Dean there, Bob Fitzgerald. So they're all in together here. And this, again, those where these drivers are going to kind of find themselves where they qualified. And so for Charles and Cody, actually I just saw Bob. Oh, Bob's going to have to back up. That's going to really hurt him there in the 08. And then, yeah, Charles and Cody, though, they were actually look at the TW top 3 there. So that's a tough one for them. They got to make sure they hit their stalls all correctly. And then I think Tom Dixon had a hiccup there as well. So these guys are going to come out right together, try to stay organized. The top 2 definitely break away a little bit here. So now we'll jump back up front. We'll see, do we see more pit stops? And the answer is yes. And this is going to be the big group here. Oh, contact.
Gabe got in. Looked like him and Dude was trying to just slow up as quickly as they can.
No.
Some guy's going to go around. Maxwell hopefully is going to be all right. It looks like he made the cone. Touched the grass maybe a little bit before, but you got to be on the inside at the cone. Hopefully he's going to be all right. Got some guys just really having some hiccups here. And I think this all comes back down to Gael, what we were talking about, even with the 11. He was on the 3rd lane, if you remember, with them guys. And then he got to the 2nd with Gabe. And then at the same time, then he went to the inside lane. Normally, you're trying to get where you want a couple laps beforehand so you can go into your black box and click maybe those tires off, or click that you just want right sides. And with all that was going on and you're trying to get down and focus and not overheat, that's when the mistakes happen. So this right here can really change your race because these guys will start to spread out, and the racing is going to get a little bit tougher here as we see the 53 and the 6 of Butt Steel make their pit stops.
Yeah, so say they went the lap longer, and I would have said they were in a tough spot there, but they were actually getting a fair bit of draft from those cars in front. So now 53 is going to stop at his stall. Looks like a nice clean entry. Bud's going to get nice and mowed down too. And it looks like left side tires for both of them, and that seems to be pretty much the go-to. So we got to wait and see is obviously how the cycle comes out. It looks like they're going to come out pretty nicely together here. So good job for the 2 of them. I don't think we'll see how they cycle out in relation to the leaders, because we'll jump actually on the back here of that 53, because you can see him just start to peek through on the trial wheel there. This actually might work out pretty well here for Quabi and Bud here, because there is a slight breakaway from those top 3. It looks like it's going to be Cody, Charles, and Dean, then Gabe Butler leading the 2nd pack. So I got to say, this is a great job, I think, by these 2 here, going longer by a couple laps. And I honestly think, I think they're going to hang on to this draft, because you're going to see Cody, he'll jump top here, but I think they'll be able to grab the draft off of this number 16 car here. So I'm going to say, job well done for these 2 right here, the 53 and the 6. They've got a fuel advantage now. They've got the draft as well with this lead pack. And you can see Gabe is just holding on for dear life, trying to claw back up to these guys, because he's about 0.6 now off of Bud. Todd Merkel's about 1.4 off and dropping. But he's about to get a huge train of cars here. So we'll be watching lap times very closely in these next couple laps here, Brandon.
Yeah, and if I'm the 53 at Quabi Brooks, we're on lap 44, buddy. You got one more, 43 or 44, I believe. I believe we're on lap 43 now?
44,
lap 44.
yep.
So, yeah, so Quabi, go get that money, baby. You got another lap and a half. Tell these TW guys, move on over. I need a payday.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the tough part too. He'll have to get help from Gabe, and you're right though. So this next lap will start lap 45, and then it's gonna be who's leading at the completion of lap 45. So we're about to get around to that lap right now to start the lap. We'll see. Does TW stay lockstep, or do they maybe start to try to fight it amongst themselves? Like you said, we'll watch the 53 and the 6 and the 88. Do they do anything? But it's gonna have to be the 53 that makes the move, and I don't think he's going to. I'm thinking they're looking big picture here is where I'm looking right now, Brandon, because, again, they pitted 2 laps later. There's one more stop to go in this race. They'll be able to put a little bit less fuel in their cars. And you look at Gabe, though. Gabe's thinking, it's like, hey, if you guys don't want to try, I'm going to give it a shot here, see if I can get that extra cash. But he's got to have a friend to go with him, and unfortunately, I don't see anybody tagging on with him, so unfortunately for Gabe, it's going to be kind of not for lack of effort, but we'll see if anything changes out of 4 here. But I think Cody's going to stay put. Oh, actually, no, here you go. Got some movement underway here. Charles is going to try. He's going to try to go look inside, outside. Cody's having none of it, and Cody is going to lead that lap 45 mark there. And like I said, Gabe tried, just didn't have any extra help that he was hoping for. But in all of that moving around here, look at the crowd that has come back here. You got Todd Merkel in 7th, all the way back to Hayden Davis here in 15th. So we've just increased this lead pack by a ton. And here you go. Here comes Gabe now waiting for some help. He's going to get it from Bud Steele. Going to try to move himself to the front. And I'd expect to see some teammates pop up here shortly.
Yeah, I bet them boot knockers are thinking, damn, them Brooks boys, they just don't like to hop out of line and go to the front. What is wrong with them? No, just giving you and Quabi a good hard time. But yeah, good run there by the 88. 16 gonna pick him up some money. And hey, how about Charles Johnson saying, hey, I'm gonna try to give you a little run for it. I know we're first and second, but hey, I wouldn't mind a couple extra bucks in the pocket. Maybe take up some of that time for doing all these paint schemes. But we're coming up about to start, as good buddy Boom says, instead of counting up, we'll be counting down here in a couple laps. And I believe we're gonna have one final pit stop that should get to the weigh-in. Speaking of everything that went down, unfortunate, I was looking at the 11 of Thomas Holder. He's going to find himself in 17th now. When they came down to these pit stops, I believe he was leading that group. When him and Everett came down, Everett was able to stay with that pack and stay up there. But the 11, as you see back here, a couple seconds off of these guys there, Gaio.
Yeah, I know, unfortunately, and that's just what the 4 tires did for him there. So, I mean, he's in a great group, though. I mean, he's got Tom Dixon there. You got Gary Huffines, Justin Davis, Anthony Lane, Bob Fitzgerald, Dale Rapps. I mean, you've got a solid crew of drivers here. But, yeah, just unfortunately, like I said, they're about 14 seconds off of Hayden Davis here, unfortunately. So, yeah, so that's going to be a tough thing to get through. Also got to mention Robert Hooligan. He is still 2 down, actually, I should say, in that number 126 car. But he's in the main pack, and he's also the only car a lap or more down. So that is a good opportunity for him to try to hopefully get back in the thick of things. But, yeah, I'm curious on the fuel mileage now. Like I said, I'm watching Bud Steele. He's now kind of pushing here, so he's going to start using that extra fuel that we talked about, the 2 extra laps he's got over some of those guys. The 53, he's kind of cruising out on that inside lane, so probably same thing, not using a lot. As I said, that Bud's going to abandon ship. That might be temperatures for the 6. Maybe said, I pushed all I can. I'm getting hot. I can't risk losing that motor. And I mentioned earlier, Maxwell Caldwell just kind of taking it easy, being calm. He said, okay, it's time to go. And he's now having to push the car that he desperately wants to beat, and that is the 88 of Gabe Butler. And again, I think that's honestly a little... Oh, look at Cody there. Going to try to block the momentum on that top side. Gabe gives him a shot there. Cody's going to go right back down to, oh, man, these guys are getting real wiggly there with these moves back and forth here. But I think Maxwell will say that the beating Gabe, it's a sign of respect because, again, you want to try to beat the best. And saying Gabe is definitely one of those perennial front runners that we've had in this league for years now. And we always joke about kind of just how modest he is, and just it's really cool to see. So yeah, I say now he's got to push that guy that he wants to beat here, and that's something that you got to do, Brandon. Is you got to put yourself in that position by pushing somebody else.
Yeah, and I think that's why Bud Steele moved out of the way. He's seen that 94 and his teammate too of Todd Merkel. Them fellas are on the way. They're on a mission, and now they got the Hot Wheels guy in front of him, Gabe. They're going to have to get around him. He is tough, and we see the 16 bounce right back up, and I like the 16 being aggressive. We seen that last time, and I don't know if that was necessarily a move to block the 88 of Gabe, or if it's just not just to make sure that 9 and them guys right there are staying cool. You don't want to put, Charles in a tough position where he's got to be pushing to keep that lane and then overheat. So I think a lot of that is just to keep his teammates cool and then just make sure you stay up front. And now they're doing what Bootnaka has done for quite a few weeks, and we've seen them control 2 to 3 lines, and let's see how TW can do it now.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, and that's the thing, is if it's one of those deals at the end where it's not a blocking thing, it's just hey, if we control both lanes or whatever we can, it gives us or the team the best chance of winning this race. So, and you're exactly right too. And we've seen that a lot where these guys will be pushing and they'll change lanes if they get the momentum, or again, if somebody starts to get hot, say hey, they'll make that change. And so yeah, so Charles probably is getting pretty hot pushing the 16. And you can see Gabe was pushing right there as much as he could there. He's probably getting hot. I think that's why you see the separation now. But now it's starting to get to that strategy time here, Brennan, where we're going to come to 24 to go. We heard again probably about 22-ish on fuel. Again, if you want to play it a little bit safe for green-white checkers, you maybe go to at least 20 to go. And then it's decision time. Do you pit early? Do you just wait as long as you can? Do you just have to react to those around you? And then how much fuel do you put in? That was a big conversation I was having with myself and with my dad and the teammates on Friday night was, okay, do I put 6 gallons in? Do I do bare minimum and 5 something? And so, because you don't want to waste any extra time that you can getting in and out of pit road. So I had to make that call, and I went a little aggressive, which worked out because we didn't have a green-white checkered. But yeah, I had to make a call, and so I put maybe one click less fuel than what I maybe thought I needed to for green-white checkered just to shorten that pit stop. So that puts me looking at the 53. He went 2 laps longer. He's been in this draft here just kind of cruising. I feel like he should be able to put a fair bit less fuel in this 53 car, I feel like, to make it to the end compared to a Charles Johnson and Cody Nagels, who pitted 2 laps later and have been leading this entire time up front. They're burning the most fuel of anybody, so that 53 stop should be a fair bit shorter than those two. Then it's all about just what you want to do. As I said, he's actually going to drop out here, maybe try to drop back to his teammates. I'm not sure, but a little surprised about this one, though. So we'll see. Actually, look at Bud Steele. He's trying to give him a hole to pop into. Maybe some Roswell strategy afoot here, maybe trying to pit without the guys around him to kind of have to react to it.
Yeah, when you brought that up about when you're gonna pit, if I'm those guys like Thomas that have already had a mistake, and I know you don't want to throw the white flag in or anything, but as soon as that window opens, I'm coming up. Maybe I can make a couple seconds there, and with this big group up here, maybe they have a mistake when they're coming all into pit road, because like you said, so many of these guys are close except for maybe the 53 and those guys that went a couple laps a little bit longer. But if I'm the 11 and them guys back there, I'm taking that risk. I'm going to come down, and you're only going to need a little bit of fuel because of you just came in not too many laps ago, and have a really short pit stop compared to where these guys are going the distance, and they may have to put in a little bit more to get there. So trying to use every little bit of maybe second that you can gain, I would hop on it. I mean, you really, at this point, you don't have anything to lose. These guys are veterans up front. We've seen Charles and Cody get a little bit crazy there for a little bit of money. There's no money from here on out. It's make it to the finish. So I think these guys understand the assignment. I don't think Bootnaka is going to be in the same position they were last time. I think they're going to have their ducks in a row. They're going to be nose to tail. They're going to be ready to come to pit road this time. So I don't think you're going to have those mistakes you had on the previous pit stop. So if I'm those guys, I come down and say, hey, man, let's try to make something happen here, and hopefully these guys haven't a mess up coming to pit road.
Yeah, you can already see everybody starting to get ready. So you saw Maxwell Caldwell able to just sneak in. Now he's trying to open that window for Todd Merkel. There's Todd. He's going to pop in line here. So yeah, so this is about the point now where if I'm further back here, like we saw, and actually I can think you see right there, Everett Lane. I think he's thinking about jumping a little bit early and get to the top, because again, I don't want to be pitting about a second back. I want to be pitting as far forward as I can. So that is also the little bit of the, I wouldn't say danger, but the concern I have on like the Roswell side of things, with the 53 dropping back. Yes, he's got teammates now with the 6 and the 51. So for them, is this the right call? Do you maybe start to try and charge a little bit forward before you know those guys are about to pit? Because we're in the window now safely to make it to the scheduled distance. How much more they need to go for a green-white checker, that's yet to be seen. So right now, and also look at Joshua Heibel. I haven't talked about him for a while now, and he is right there in the thick of this thing, right in that top 5, battling for these front spots here. And same thing for him. I don't know if he's got his team with him here, so he's going to have to try to make some friends, or just, hey, I'm going to have to react to whatever these guys do. Just unfortunately due to the separation from his teammates like Anthony Lane, Dale Rapp there. So he's gonna have to try to figure out where to position himself. But we've seen him have a lot of great runs, especially last season, making those playoffs. So it'll be fun to see what he's got in store still.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a hot streak, if you want to call it. If you need some momentum there, Josh, he won the paint scheme of the night on Friday, and now, he's running 6th in points. He's one of those drivers that we don't talk about a whole lot. He just comes in, gets the solid finishes he needs, and he shows up when it's time to be there. So, good run from the 101. Hopefully, he can get maybe back-to-back paint schemes of the weekend. So, good run here for the 101 of Joshua Heibel.
I thought I saw a little bit of movement, no pit stops yet. And you're right, though. Yeah, like I said, he's got tough competition on the paint scheme side. So, and again, I haven't seen any opinions on the YouTube chat. So again, if anybody's watching, if you're kind of looking along and he's like, hey, I really like that car, let us know. Say we're trying to figure out who we think is going to be the one to win that paint scheme of the evening. Like I said, we've got some heavy hitters. Like I said, we've got Charles Johnson there in that mellow yellow machine, Dean Wilkinson, that Band-Aid car, Gabe Butler in that Hot Wheels machine. Like I said, we've got a whole bunch up front here as well. We talked about the 101 there with Johnny Benson paint scheme for him. And you go a little further back there, we have the 24 Everett Lane with that Jeff Gordon scheme. Gabe Butler is not going to be happy with what he sees right now. He wants somewhere to slot in here. We'll see. Can he pop in front of Todd Merkel? Yes, he does. And here you go, though. So there you go. This is the decision. The short pit here for the Roswell guys. It's going to be, big hit there as we switched over there, the 19 into the 53. 53 is going to have that fast repair ready. Hayden Davis, I'm guessing too much rear brake there for him. Let's go back. We'll take one more look at this before we switch over to watch that pit stop. And yeah, you can see Hayden on the outside there. Oh man, just straight into the side of that car. So, but we'll see if that's going to hurt him. He's out there pretty quick here, so they might have to work on getting a little bit organized. They lose Hayden, unfortunately, and they might have to breathe it possibly for Kwabi there in the 53. We'll see. But now, do we see any response for this? Because this is a dangerous decision here, because they had to pretty much be perfect. And here you go. They're going to have pretty much a chunk of the TW guys. And we're going to also have the 101 and the 94. This is pretty much the field all hopping up here. Oh, the 101 there got a little bit loose. Goes back out on track here. We'll see if we stay green or if that's going to throw a yellow or not. Nope, he's moving. We'll stay green here. And so now these guys are going to, again, hopefully no mistakes getting into their stalls. But I'm looking, Todd Merkel is going to go extra. How is his help? He's only got one car here. This is going to be, he's going to have to push for all he is worth here.
Yeah, I am so sorry, Josh. If you want to blame anybody, blame Matt Wagner. This commentator curse started because of him. I am so sorry. I brought up the 101 and then but that's what we were talking about with those guys maybe pitting a little bit early. We seen it on the first pit stop they had problems, and now we seen it there on the second one. More problems is Todd Merkel and the 126 going to roll around here by themselves. Todd's going to pick up a bonus point for leading. I'm not running all the races this year, but nothing wrong with getting a bonus point. And maybe something happens and you got all these guys passing. You can come down under caution, have a little bit of fortune work your way. But for these guys right here that has already pitted, they got lined up pretty smooth. And we got a boot knocker surrounded by a bunch of TW Motorsports guys.
Yeah, but he's got help on the way here. Maxwell's on his way there. You've got the 24 Everett Lane. Dude Conrad's coming. Eric Laurie's not too far away. And I think the trio here, you can see, I think they're going to get back up there, the 51, the 653, so add Roswell to the group there. Doug Webb is paddling for all he's worth. If he can grab just an extra sniff of draft here, throw the 714 back in the mix as well. But right now, it's not going the right way for him. So it could be 12, it could be 13. I think right now it's looking like 12, unfortunately, for Doug. We'll have those cars in this lead pack to try to win this race here. As again, Todd, I'm not sure about this. At this point, he's going to lose the draft, unfortunately. They don't have the numbers for this, so I'm a little torn on this decision. But here you go, though. Gabe waited. Now he's got his help here. Now it's the TW and Bootknocker fight for that top spot here, with Roswell working their way further forward as well. They're a little bit behind with Eric Laurie in the mix too. So they still got 14 to go here, 13 at the line. So we've got plenty to go here on this one. And on the pit stop side of things, it's just Todd Merkel who is yet to pit in that too.
Going to be a lone survivor out there. He's really, really hoping for a caution right now, as we see some of these guys that had unfortunate problems. But we'll bounce back here to the front, and now it's a TW versus Bootknocker show here. But we're starting to see those guys back there in the back of Roswell. They're starting to creep right on into this picture. And I tell you what, them guys need some a race, a good finish for those guys to get some things turned around. We haven't heard much from them up here at the podium this year, and I bet those guys are ready to break that curse and put a car in victory lane.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try to get what they can. You saw Gabe was able to clear the 16 just barely. He dropped immediately down onto that inside line in front of Cody, and that's now letting Everett and Dude Conrad get up there. And so now, and you see there's Gabe, though. He's going to pop back up there, pick up his teammate, kind of what we saw Cody doing a little earlier. And there's Roswell here. They're going to get up there. We'll see if they stayed second lane or if they're going to try to get to the third. I think right now second lane is probably a good spot to be in, because, again, there's still 13 to go in this race here, and Todd Merkel's still leading the way here. Again, has not made his final pit stop. He is at 12 to go now. But right now, this is going to be pretty much the net race for the win. But what I'm looking at right now is I don't know if Eric's got some damage that I haven't seen, or if he's just unfortunately lost the draft possibly. Try to take a closer look. That car looks clean, so just unfortunately something that's kind of put him at risk of losing that draft. He's sitting right around 7/10, but it is starting to close ever so slightly. So hopefully Eric Laurie can get back in the mix, because we'd love to see him go for the win here as well in that John Deere machine. But right now, it's like I said, it's all about kind of the momentum, when to make the move and where, and who you're going to have friends with. We know obviously the 88, 24, and 8, the 16, the 55, and that number 9. Then we have to watch what do the 51, the 6, and the 53 do. But Maxwell Caldwell, he's kind of the dark horse in this. Who does he go with? He's going to have to make a decision at some point. What's going to be the best option for him to try to win this race? As I say that, Todd Merkel now into pit road, coming to 11 to go. Like I said, though, if he pitted one lap later, maybe, but it's just, this is too much later. Unfortunately, I said it's going to cost him this main pack.
Kyle, I got a question for you. Bummer for me not knowing this rule, but with our playoff system, a lot of people, probably tuned in, watch NASCAR, and they know a win gets you into the playoffs. Here in Area 51, does a win lock you in, or do you have to be locked in via points?
It is still just, it's there's no winning in, it's through points. So you do get a fair bit of extra points for the win. I want to say it's at least 5 more for the win from first to second, and then obviously 1 point from there on out. So you do get a pretty big bump. Of course, you also get a guaranteed bonus point for leading a lap as well, because you kind of have to be at the front there at the end. There's no big win in your end. And you mentioned on the Bootknocker side trying to help the teammates, and that's where the help is going to come into play here. Is it's going to be, okay, who needs to get the most points? Okay, if we could push Eric to the front or someone like that, that would be where it comes in here. But we're down to 10 to go here, and you can see right there on the screen, Eric Laurie, he is back in the mix of this thing. So that's great news for the Bootknockers. That's one more drafting partner that they have to work with. You see up top here, I believe that is the 19 of Hayden Davis that they're about to put down a lap. But again, though, he doesn't have to just roll over and drop out of the draft here. If he can tag on to these guys, he can also help as a pusher somewhere. So we'll see if Hayden can hang on to them, and if so, where does he tie on to here? So we'll keep an eye on that 19 as well as we get down to these closing stages. As next time by here, Brandon, we're going to be in single digits.
Yeah, looking at the cars up here, and then with where we sit at points, if I'm the Roswell, that's the group I'm watching. That's the group that really, really needs the most points right now. That team out of everybody up there has the most cars sitting outside the playoffs, with Jim right there on the bubble, but a little bit farther back, and then the 53 not running every race. So that right there tells me, hey, we got a lot of guys up here right now that we're not close to making the playoffs. We got a driver a couple spots. Let's do everything we can to get him up there. And we know Bootnacker's thinking that with the 071 of Eric. But that's the group. If I'm gonna take a chance, I would like it to see come from that Roswell group right there. It's just, this is the opportunity. You're up here, not many cars around, and you can be able to make that third lane competitive. Just because, as we see, we got four cars on the inside. That would maybe put 4 cars to the middle. You have 3 on the outside. This could give you a really good chance to conquer on that moment and take that third lane and give a run at them TW and Bootnacker guys.
Yeah, exactly right. And we haven't forgotten about the other group. I say, and Todd Merkel, he's on an island right now. I say he's found himself with that 126 Robert Hooligan again. Apologies, but he's about 9 seconds behind the 53, about 10 seconds ahead of this group here. And again, though, these points are going to be important for them as well. So, I mean, you've got Justin Davis, Gary Huffines, Joshua Highbaugh there. You can see a little bit, almost a moment there, because these guys, they're going to want to try to get every point they can as well. So it's not just what's happening up front. Again, if someone makes the wrong push at the wrong spot, it could throw a bunch more cars back in this race. So that's something that's why we don't want to forget about these guys too, because they're in their own little battles too. If they can finish 13th spot, instead of finishing 19th, I mean, that's 6 more points. So there's a lot that's going to be to play for here. What I am noticing, though, is it looks like little by little, I feel like the Roswell guys are starting to creep up into that second lane in the draft here. And you can see again, and I think it's exactly what you talked about. Right now, I feel like TW and Bootnackers, they're kind of solely focused on each other. So that can be one of those situations where maybe that's where the Roswell guys are able to take advantage, where all right, they're you can see what they're working on each other, changing lanes and kind of controlling drafts. Let's time it right. Let's make the right move at the right time and try to get that big charge. So as it sits right now, I think it's not a matter of if, it's going to be that matter of when, and then you just have to hope that you have the numbers to help you get to that spot.
Yeah, and you're really seeing what made me really think about that is we're seeing all night. They're really trying to control the lanes, keep the guy behind him cooled off. So when you see, we're starting to count down. We got seven or so laps to go, 6 laps to go. You see them making them move. So I like how they're putting that little bit of gap in there. Let them make them moves. And soon as you see that move, when we have 2 or 3 to go to get to that lane, it really checks up that line there behind them. And that's when I would really capitalize on that and take that chance maybe to get out of there, because you see the teammates are running so hard here, trying to keep their car up there, pushing hard. And so their temperatures are going to be tough. Roswell back here just riding, hanging out. So you're going to have maybe a lap or maybe a lap and a half that you can push a little bit harder compared to where these guys up here has to keep that line rolling. So we're going to be coming here to 5 to go. You're going to have to make your plan soon, because before you know it, we'll be at the white flag.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's trying to time it, and oh man, a lot of movement going on right now. And again, and that's the thing too, is the bumps are going to get a little bit more aggressive. They're going to start to side draft, squeeze each other that little bit more. And that's where you got to make the tough decision too, if you're in this main pack. Is waiting till the white flag too late to wait? Because if that's the case, then you put yourself at risk of making a move early. If there's something that happens that brings out a yellow, you're going to throw in another 7+ cars into the fight for the win of this race. So that's the tough decision as well that you're kind of facing in this, where you want to win the race, but at the same time, you also don't want to get caught out and bring a whole bunch of guys into the mix that you wouldn't have to normally fight with. Because right now you're guaranteed a top 11 spot in this lead pack here as things run. So, but like I said, we're down to it here, 4 to go. And at some point, we're going to start to see who's going to go where. Really, the one that's in a tough spot to me is Maxwell still, because he's still pinned to the inside line. He's going to want to go somewhere, but he just doesn't have anywhere to go. So pretty much from that second car, right now, Charles Johnson on back, they're kind of just committed to having to run this inside line because there's nowhere for them to go. And then I'm watching Eric Laurie too. I'm sure he'd love to get up behind the 8 car of Duke Conrad, but he can't do that because every time maybe the 8 clears him, the 51's right there as well. So a lot of these guys will have to try to make a call, but right now I think they're just kind of forced their hand as we're about to hit 3 to go here, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye out right there on that 8 car. I know we talk about his paint scheme tonight, but watch how that car runs. We can see he rarely puts the whole bumper there, as we see here. He puts it, but you can see how off center he is. He's making sure that that 8 car is cooled down for when it matters. You keeping that nose out there, letting a lot of fresh air hit that. So when that 16 maybe decide to make that move to go to the bottom with his teammates, the 8's ready to counter
Caution's
punch
out.
and push. Oh, hey, what a break here.
It was the second
maybe
pack we
John
talked
Merkel?
about. Allens, Bob Fitzgerald there. He is turned around. And that was what I mentioned, that it wasn't just going to be these guys up front that are battling for the spots. It's going to be a little bit further back too. So let's go back. We'll take a look. Unfortunately, Bob's going to have to take a tow here. And we'll focus on that 08 car because that's, I say, obviously we saw him get a piece of it here. So we'll watch as we come. Oh, well, it helps if I click the right buttons here, Brandon. Say, apologies, rookie streamer. There we go. We'll switch over to the 08. And I'm looking at the 11 and the 714. Does it happen there? So far, all looks normal here. Oh, yep, it is. There it is. The 11 just a little bit off center with the 714. That gets them hooked together. And then actually looks like pretty solid hits for both of them. But, man, Bob takes quite the hit there. And enough to pop the motor where it forced him to take a tow as well. And so that's going to bring things into 2 things, Brandon. 1, brings the whole field back together. 2, now we're in the green-white checker territory. Did these guys put the fuel in for any extra laps? Because they were, I believe, 3 to go at the time of the yellow. So they're going to pretty much have the most amount of laps to run extra potentially. So this is going to be interesting. And you can see right there, Gabe is just coasting, letting that pace car stay behind him because he is trying to save every drop of fuel he can. Because there's Cody letting the pace car kind of get lined up with him. So who pits, who does not, we'll be able to tell pretty quickly who's gambled on the fuel and who thinks they have enough here.
Yeah, if I'm those guys up front, I don't think you can really make that decision to pit right here, can you? We see a lot of these guys hitting the apron. This is going to be very close. Right here, we see our first taker. Back here, if I'm these guys in the back, the 11, any of these guys, probably from about 10th on, 8th on back, I'm coming down pit road. All these guys are going to stack right back up. Anything can happen. These guys right here, if anything does happen, they're going to be in the back, out of the way. Hayden Davis is going to look like he's going to get the lucky dog here, maybe.
Yep, there.
Yep,
I was going to say, it
goes.
shouldn't be Todd Merkel. Todd's still on the lead lap. So I say Hayden lost that lap from the pit road miscue that he had. So that puts him right back into the thick of things. So that's going to leave us 21 drivers that have a chance to win this race here on this green-white checkered attempt. And yeah, so really the only drivers that pitted there were ones I think involved pretty much in the incident or were at the very, very back. So to me, that says these guys had no concerns about fuel. But again, there are 2 attempts. So if they have enough for one, they may not have enough for both. But what we will do is we haven't got to show off one of our wonderful sponsors who's going to be at the Sim Racing Expo here in just a few weeks. So let's jump away for a moment, check our awesome sponsor, 4D Racewear, and we'll be right back.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, Brandon, lights are off of the pace car. We are on green, white, checkered attempt number 1 here. And this is going to be interesting. Look at the split we have right now. So you've got Bootknocker on the inside, TW on the outside with Cody. And then you've got the opposite teams lined up next to them or behind them. So you've got 2 TWs behind the Bootknocker. You got 2 Bootknockers behind TW. So this is interesting on this restart. And I'm looking right behind him. We've talked about the Roswell guys. You've got the 8 and the 51 and the 6. They're lined up there with Jim and with Bud Steele. And then I look for Eric Laurie. There's he is same thing. He's lined up over on with the TW guys. However, he is also with Gabe, Maxwell Caldwell. And I'm seeing a lot of apron usage right now, Brandon. How tight do we think we are?
Man, I think some of these drivers up here are regretting not coming to pit road. That's a lot of time on the apron, and I would not be surprised with how much they're going to have to be on the throttle. It's not like you can save any bit. We're under our first green, white, checkered, so these guys are going to be full gas the whole time, and you don't want to be behind the guy that runs out. So you're really going to have to be up on the wheel and have that 4D gloves pulled tight as Gabe Butler's going to bring us through the tri-oval for our first green, white, checkered.
Yep, so say we'll see him go on the green. Then it's going to be who gets through the gears quickest, who gets locked on for the push the best, as we are back underway. So again, attempt number 1. Oh, I saw one car have a big stack up there on the inside lane. Who was that? I thought I saw someone kind of have some sort of a hiccup, but looks like we're moving though. And right now you can see Gabe getting a great push from Dean, but there's Charles Johnson. He's got himself up to the top side on this one. That's going to give Maxwell an opportunity here on the inside line. So I'm thinking, is Charles trying to get to Cody? No, Charles is going to go for it. Look at the block, though, by the 24. He wants to get in front of those guys. Jim Brooks up top now as well. Everybody's getting split up here. The 51's up top. The 6 was up in the middle. Now the 51 goes back to the middle as well. And we're got to get through 3 and 4 again. If we don't get to the white here, we'll have a yellow. We'll come back and have one more attempt at it. And, contact the 88 and the 55. They stay straight. We're going to be 3-4 wide. Oh, my goodness. How did Cody hang on to that, Brandon? White flag.
Yeah, that was good driving there by the 16, but I think a little bit more better driving there by the 94.
Oh, the contact.
Yeah, we're going to have contact, but we've taken the white flag. This is going to be under green, and the 94, the one that he had so much patience coming through that try over there, nothing he could really do. So these guys are really going to have to get lined back up as the 88 and the 8 teammates on the bottom. Teammates there on the outside. It's going to be a shoot down here to the finish as that bottom lane is not getting back up to speed like they want.
No, it's saying that 16 and 55, they're going to clear that inside line here, so they'll jump in. Dude's going to have to try to make a move out of 4 here. He's going to have Gabe locked on with him. Maxwell's going to help a little bit too, so we'll see. Oh, big bump there. You can see how upset it got the 8 car. So we'll see if it's going to be enough, or is Cody going to hang on as they come through the travel for the final time. Cody will get the win here tonight at Talladega over Dude Conrad. Dean Wilkinson going to bring it home in 3rd. Gabe Butler, Everett Lane finish out the top 5. Eric Laurie there in 6th. And then you got Quabi Brooks, Maxwell Caldwell there in the top 8. And then so what we got to do, though, unfortunately, is we got to go back to that finish here. I should say to the white flag, though, unfortunately, because that's where a lot happens coming through. And it really shook up the running order in this race. So let's go back because first off, let's go back and let's look at that contact one more time here. I mean, it was a couple situations of contact here. We'll start with the 55 and that 88 of Gabe Butler because I don't know how a lot of these guys held onto the cars. You see right there a little bit of contact, maybe a little uncentered bump. I can't say for sure. And then you see Dean, he tries to get it gathered back up there. And that at this point, everybody's just trying to react here. But then, I mean, first off, I don't know how Cody saves this, and then enough to still keep the momentum to still even win this race. Look at the wheel input. You can see him sawing out the wheel. And actually, you know what's even better than that, Brandon? Let's watch this. Watch the hands of the 16 here of Cody. He's going to get the contact full right, full left, full all the way to right for a little while, back to the left. I mean, we're running that slow-mo, and that wheel is still moving quickly. And then look at the response here. Look at everybody's all spread out everywhere trying to – I mean, everybody's thinking, okay, that's a wreck. There's no way. and somehow these guys all hang on to keep it pointed in the right direction. And yeah, so then we get back up to speed here, and then unfortunately, this is where the contact occurs. You see this, the 51 just gets into 16. He gets him honestly a little bit more out of shape again, and then I think I say that's you see with the context. I think that may be. I'm watching the 6 and the 51 and the who is that the 2 car. So I think that maybe sets them a little bit off. And yeah, it looks like Bud Steele just was a little off center of the 51. I think from that little stack up there, that gets Jim into Charles Johnson. That gets Todd Merkel as well. And then from there, just everybody's just trying to see if they can find their way through this here. And you can see the inside lane is the place to be, but unfortunately, there's a lot of cars trying to go for the same real estate there. So you can see, I mean, you got 3 wide down on the apron here, Brandon, just for measure there. Oh, you see that's where Bob Fitzgerald also gets the 51 here. So, but then, yeah, then it's the fight to the back to the win here. And it looks great for a second. You got the teammates there, but the momentum, though, you can see Dean, you can see Cody, they're just completely locked on. You can see the separation, the 88 and the 8. And then, yeah, just not quite enough there at the end, not for lack of effort, though. But, man, just what a fight there, just that brawl at the very end to try to win this race.
Yeah, not only that, but the 16 not to turn that car around and take out the whole field. That was, I mean, if Allstate was a sponsor, that would be the good hands move of the race, just because that was awesome. And unfortunate for a couple of those guys that got caught up in that, the 6 and the 51. They ran really, really good all night. Just unfortunate there to be caught up in some super speedway racing. But 16 finds victory lane once again this season. And we talked about in the middle of the race, he had to get back there. And those guys, 94, I mean, if we can go back and watch that one more time, as the 90, if you're in the 94s, behind the wheel of that, to not just stay on the gas the whole time and just, you see that gap opening and take it. And he let everybody recuperate. He let the 55 come back up slowly, tried to do the best he could, got into the 16 a little bit, but there was so many moves there that Maxwell could have just been so selfish and said, I'm just going to take this spot. Even here, you can see he's in the 4th lane. He's not trying to make any big moves. So I would just wanted to give a shout out to Maxwell. There was a lot of spots there where stuff could have really, really got hectic. He was real patient. So I think that shows, the maturity of him throughout the season. We know how bad he wants to win and get one. He could have made some moves there, but took the point. So hats off to the 94.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job, like I said. And then obviously you can see here as well, great job getting through this, able to just get down in time. You can see, you're going to see a lot of guys hit the apron here through 1 and 2 there. You see the 53 just snuck by 2. But so yeah, so it's going to be Cody getting the win tonight over Jude Conrad, Dean Wilkinson, our top 3. Then Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, our top 5 drivers. Then you mentioned Maxwell there. He still grabs the 6th spot. Eric Laurie, 7th. Quabi Brooks, Justin Davis, Dale Rapp there wind up in the top 10 there. And again, a lot of these guys were able to benefit from that late yellow to bring them back into the mix. Gary Huff finds Hayden Davis, Tom Dixon, Doug Webb, Charles Johnson. Unfortunately, Charles falls back to 15th. And same thing, tough break there for some of those guys. You got Joshua Heibaugh, Anthony Lane. Say Jim Brooks winds up a lap down, just not able to bring it back to the line, it looks like, at the end. And we'll get to the final finishers here. Oops. And that is going to be their Bud Steele, same situation, Todd Merkel, Thomas Holder, just not the way they were hoping the evenings were going to end. And then Robert Hooligan just never got a chance to get those laps back after the motor pops for him. So just a tough, but props for him for sticking out throughout the rest of the evening. Bob Fitzgerald, we saw that late caution that caught him up in it as well. That put him 2 down. And then Robert Amaral, unfortunately, in early retirement this evening.
Think maybe we try to pull some drivers in here and get some interviews knocked out, and maybe start with who you want to start with here? We want to go with the 55 or?
Yeah, we'll kick it off with our podium finisher there. We'll grab Dean Wilkinson to begin things here. So I'll say we start with him doing a little bit of off-roading there on the inside line here, trying to save that thing. Dean, it was an eventful final lap, I feel like, for you, but able to keep it pointed in the right direction there and then get a great momentum to get back to Cody there on that final lap to be able to charge back to the front. And I mean, you guys were locked on nicely. You had Cody working with you guys. You had Charles right there as well, and then just unfortunately, obviously, a contact at the end took out Charles, and a couple close calls for you, especially coming out of four, coming to that white flag lap. I mean, just take us through the craziness and then kind of the plan there after the white when you kind of see that it's pretty much just about a 6-car breakaway there. It felt like.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't know what was going to happen. I told Cody, I said, Cody, whoever's in front of me, I'm pushing the hell out of them. If it's you, if it's Gabe, whoever, I'm not letting up. And then, yeah, whatever. I don't know what happened, but we Gabe and I lost a little bit, got separated, and then his teammate come up behind him. Yeah, that was, I am sweating. It was stressful there. That was fun though.
Yeah, you guys definitely put on one heck of a show, not only for us up here, but everybody that tuned in tonight. And wanna touch here on your throwback here. You definitely made me look a couple of times like, who is that? Who is that? You know, with the numbers and. But what made you pick that paint scheme here tonight on Throwback Weekend?
I basically looked through the year, through the 90s, and I wanted something bright, something with a lot of color. And I didn't want one that was a regular, this is a Dale Jarrett, and it wasn't a regular paint that I'd seen too much. So, two of the paints I was going to do the 51. I'm glad I didn't. Then I thought, well, I'll do an Ernie Irvin. Glad I didn't. Because those were both ones I'd started. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something that's a little obscure. And yeah, I enjoyed watching Dale back in the days. So.
I mean, it was a really good run for you, Dean, tonight. And I mean, obviously there was the strategy of when to make that final stop, and then obviously the late yellow comes out, unfortunately, with the guys in the second pack trying to fight for their spots. And what was the thought process there? And then obviously you see the lineup where you've got basically you have Boonacher and TW all lined up except for the leaders where they're flipped inverse there. Was that one of those situations where you're kind of between a rock and a hard place on decisions? And then how was fuel? I mean, there was a lot going on there.
Yeah, no, we were good on fuel. We took extra fuel in case we had the green white checker. Yeah, I didn't want that caution. It was a fun battle between us all there. And then when that caution came out, cautions breed cautions, and I just thought, oh no, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be up front the whole race, and then I'm going to get taken out, on the white flag or something silly, which thankfully I didn't. But yeah, again, Gabe was in front of me. I was pushing him. It didn't matter who was in front of me. I was going to push him. And it was hard maintaining those temps. I think my water temp was pretty much red the entire race.
Yeah, we honestly and unfortunately we saw earlier with Robert Hooligan. I say that motor pops from his temps there. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, it was like I said, we saw how hard you guys were having to fight to try to do what you could to stay up front, and like I said, and then manage temps and everything like that. You were busy behind the wheel, but a really really great job tonight. And I said I can't help but laugh at the car number. I love the way you pulled that off there. It's subtle, but it definitely doesn't go unnoticed. So yeah. And I hate that Friday we didn't get to see as much of your paint scheme because I know you had the frame rate issue. So a great way to bounce back with it, getting a podium tonight. So happy that got resolved as well. And we know the great paint schemes you're able to work on. So Dean, great job tonight, sir. As always, though, got to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight?
Well, I thank you guys for the broadcast. Green White Checker TV, Area 51. Always enjoy racing this league. Thanks for my teammates, Charles and Cody was a teammate tonight. So him and Tom and Bob didn't have where they finished 13th, and I think Bob finished a little lower, but yeah, didn't have much good luck tonight. But I appreciate them hanging out with us on Discord, and all the other drivers. I mean, this was a great race. It was a fun race. So thank you, drivers. I always commend the drivers when it's a good race. So thank you.
Great job tonight, Dean. I said when you get the frames, I'll say you're going to always be one to watch out for. So go enjoy this one, and I'll say look forward to seeing you back on track again soon, sir.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too. All right, Brandon, we're going to jump one spot further forward. And before we get to the questions, let's say the first thing that he's going to be asking for you is he needs a picture of your face for future races if we're choosing favorite paint schemes. So, dude, we couldn't get that. Still love the paint scheme though, so you always have a good one. But man, you were busy tonight. I mean, you had to there at the end there. We saw all the craziness coming to the white flag, and then all of a sudden it's kind of, wait, where did dude come from with you never rolling that top side as well as you were? And then yeah, I mean from there you guys were almost in the perfect spot there. Just obviously it was tough to kind of try to get reorganized as best you could. I mean, take us through the final lap and trying to how you were trying to strategize everything.
Well, my dumbass missed a shift on start. I went to fourth in the way too early and got back off of Everett. And I'm sorry, I'm so pissed off right now. That made Charles, right behind the Everett, and I didn't want to do that. But finally, they went up top with Everett leading the top lane. When I got to Cody, I had a window, got up on top of Everett, so we was going along, and I seen the window go down. Well, I thought Everett had a train behind him. Well, evidently he didn't. But I feel bad for dumping him there. But man, so close. I just got ass chewing from Gabe. That don't feel good. But I should have pinched Cody there a little bit more. I didn't want to end up in a wreck, man.
Yeah, that's definitely some tough positions when you get there, and you don't want to make the wrong move, and then you think you're making the right move, and then it's definitely a handful when it comes down to that final lap. And but what I want to touch base on, Dean just talked about it. That whole last lap, his temperature gauge was on red. We seen it, earlier in the race, the 126 blow up. We haven't really had much of that this year. How was that? We really focused in on your car with about 5 laps to go. I noticed that nose was sticking out more and more each lap, making sure that 8 was cooled down. How big of that was really a factor tonight?
I mean, everybody in here knows the dangers of that. Yeah, when it's hot, all pushing activities stop. I mean, you have to get out and cool it. There's no two ways about it. All I was doing was getting ready. It's like a pressure building up toward the last lap. And I wanted to have the car cool enough to be able to slam the 24 all the way around the track without pulling off of him or Gabe or whoever was in front of me. I saw that. I kept keeping it cool. That way to the last lap, it had plenty.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things. I mean, you just got to keep yourself in position. I mean, the nice part is obviously you want to win. The nice part is too, though, you are third in points, and we haven't got to the playoffs where it's a full reset. So there's still going to be a lot to play for in these coming weeks. So definitely nothing to kind of put your head down on there, dude. So before we let you go, and before Brendan sends you a picture of his face for your car for next time, we got to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts for that runner up tonight, sir.
Just Team Boot Knocker has been a blessing. Gabe and Eric, and, Everett, and all them other guys. Don't get, like I said, I don't get to run as much as I would want to, but I need to start being there for them guys. Them guys mean a lot to me in this iRacing career that I've had. Of course, Area 51 this is my favorite league by far. But even if you lose, I've had a good time. For years in here. It's like a little brotherhood. Everybody helps everybody. We all pick on each other. It's a blast. I can't wait till Sunday night. And go back and watch these broadcasts with these two professionals you got. Oh man, they're awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, just one tonight. Boomer wasn't able to make it, but
Yeah, but I don't want his picture.
All right, no. Yeah, so you definitely don't want mine either. So we'll find a way to get you Brandon's. But no, dude, as always, man, it's a lot of fun having you in these things. Like I said, it's. And I said you don't even need the throwback week for these cars. I say yours are so good week in and week out. Brandon's always loving on yours. So just great job tonight, man. Like I said, don't hang your head on this one, and I look forward to seeing you back on track again here soon, sir.
I'll 10-4, and congratulations to Cody.
And with that, Brandon, we got to jump over to our race winner in that number 16 of Cody Nagels, who I thought that car is going on a rollback coming to the white flag. Cody, we went on board. We watched first from the outside. It's like, hold on. Hopped on board with you. Those hands, you were swatting flies. And I mean, I was in slow mo, and I still feel like your hands were moving quicker than a lot of us would be able to at full speed. I mean, take us through. I mean, because you were working to try to kind of have the lines there on the last lap. Well, actually, you're trying to work the lines to kind of, I'm sure, control temperatures for your pushers and all that. But then, I mean, then it's time to go there at the end. I mean, how tough was it balancing kind of the guys behind you temperatures, when to make your runs? I mean, it's not just holding a throttle down and holding a pretty line. You had to do a lot there.
I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you're out front. You know, a lot of this racing, this super speedway racing, is just about who has the best temps, because the lane with the best temps, everything else being the same, the lane with the best temps is gonna prevail every single time. So you know, some people look at it as blocking, but you've got to go down and up, like, you know, Gabe was doing there right before the caution came out, and I really didn't have a play because his teammates were behind me, and I was just kind of stuck pushing them, which I was going to be okay with. But it's just, you have to cycle, let your pushers get cool, and it's just a big chess match, and you have to think 2 and 3 steps ahead before you make a move. You have to kind of understand who the pushers are, who the teams are, the teammates, you know, which there at the end, the boot knockers had me surrounded, so it is what it is. But it's just a chess match, and at the end, I got lucky, and I was pointed to the infield, and I have to give a shout out to my days running with Dale Cup, because those guys, Seabass and Steve and Lima, them guys taught me everything I know about saving a car, so big shout out to them, because yeah, we used to go into just hosted lobbies by ourselves, and we would just do rollbacks and just like practice saving the car, and we would get into each other's quarter panel, and we would just practice saving it, pointed to the infield and trying to correct. And I know it looks like a lot on the broadcast, but I feel pretty comfortable for the most part, unless it's too much where I'm essentially turned like a complete wreck, I can't save. But little stuff like that, if I'm given the opportunity to save it, I feel like I can.
Yeah, from up here in the broadcast booth, I don't know about you, but I would have had to change my drawers after I seen the stalling on that wheel. And I asked a question to this, like Charles, you know, on Friday about the young guys and the new guys that are in here, and how, you know, he's been able to keep his momentum. And I think this question will also help a lot of the new guys, is how you're able to bounce. You're not in one chat every single weekend. How are you able to just bounce in with these guys? So say maybe a new guy wanted to hop in with the team. How are you able just to hop in this group with these guys and just have that chemistry? You and Charles ran really, really good all night. It looked like you guys have been on a team for years. What would you give advice to a younger driver on maybe going to a new team, or experiencing or trying to learn with a new team?
First, I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, like Charles and Dean. I've known them guys for years, so there's a little bit of built-in chemistry and respect there, and running with them seems pretty, like you said, it's like I've done it a long time, when, you know, I can come in just every few weeks and say hi to them and run a race with them or something, and it feels natural because we've known each other for so long. But if you're like a newer driver and you don't have that experience, like, the biggest thing I can recommend is just hop in a Discord with these guys, or any of the experienced guys for that matter. Do it with the boot knockers. Do it with the group with Charles and Dean and them guys, and just learn, listen, and respect the experienced guys, because, you know, they've done it for so many years, and they have a lot of valuable knowledge that they can give you. And just be a sponge and soak it in, because, like, I was always told that, you know, if it's a you know, tonight's race was 78 laps, so in a 78 lap race, do you want to sit and ride for 68 laps and only go for the final 10? Because that's really doing you a disservice, because you're only running 10 valuable laps. So I try to run all 78 like it's the last 10, minus throwing, you know, I don't want to throw any crazy blocks unless I absolutely have to, but run hard all the time and just show respect to the people that have been around the community, because those guys, if you stick around long enough, they're going to teach you a thing or two.
No, that makes a ton of sense, and yeah, like you said, and then some of the things we talked about is how much we like it's there's no like oh no, it's only us that are running together. It's like you said, if drivers reach out and like, hey, can you help me out with this? I've seen a lot of names and drivers move around discords and you see the kind of the camaraderie and the teamwork and everything like that. So it's been really cool to see. But yeah, like I said, Cody, I mean, if that's a small save for you, that's terrifying. I am not surprised you have to practice saving a car racing around Seabass. I got to give a jab at him when I have a chance to, so I don't get to see him much anymore. But again, great job, man. Before we let you go, as always, definitely got to give you the floor, though. Any thanks and shouts for that win tonight?
Yeah, of course, I want to thank you guys at Green White Checker TV for always putting on a top-notch broadcast. I want to thank the guys I was running with, Charles, Dean, Tom, and Bob. Those guys are a lot of fun. I know whenever Vince comes in, I like to run with him because he's my boy, but those guys down there, I have a lot of respect for them, and it just seems like when we run together, like you said, the chemistry is just there, and it makes running together really easy because we're always around each other on the track. So whether we're in the same Discord or not, there's built-in respect that we can just. It seems pretty easy to be able to work with them guys, and big shout out to the Boot Knockers for just racing me clean and hard this whole season, both Friday and Sunday. Them guys are definitely tough to beat on the track, and I enjoy any time I can get the win over them. But they're always clean, they're always respectful, and they always give me a handful on the track and about everything I can handle. So looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season has in store for us and into the postseason, because I have a feeling it's going to be one of them seasons where it's like a tight 2 or 3 car battle that comes down to the final race.
Yeah, no, I think so too, and I'm saying I'm looking forward to is the bonus point strategy, is how you want to do that, because again you were able to lead the most laps, so you get the extra bonus points there too. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot to kind of look at and strategies and all that, and like you said, that's where maybe running every lap like it's about 10 to go is it's gonna come into play. So yeah, as I say, we're getting close to that time too, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. But Cody, again, great job tonight, man. It was a lot of fun watching you do what you do best. And like I said, I'm that save still. I mean, that just blows my mind. That was a really great job. So go enjoy this one, and I look forward to seeing you on track again soon, sir.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
All right, Brandon. So before we get to our the last part of things, let's say we were talking about the paint schemes that we were all on board with, and it was some tough decisions to be made here, but I think we have kind of a I guess you can call it two paint schemes we liked. I think if I'm not mistaken, your favorite tonight was this guy right here. I think it sounded like that was also your top one on the Friday night side as well. That chrome and orange kind of that day glow Western Auto paint scheme that Jim Brooks was rolling. But however, right on cue, the choice for this evening is going to be this guy right in front of him, Bob Fitzgerald, in that number 08 Wheaties car. So we're going to pull Bob on over here because we got to get the story behind it, because I feel like every paint scheme's got a reasoning for it. So Bob, first off, congrats on the throwback paint scheme victory. As obviously I know tonight, unfortunately, didn't quite go to plan for you, but take us through the paint scheme. Obviously, Earnhardt's known for a couple schemes. I don't feel like the Wheaties one is as known. I say, is there a reason why this one stands out more for you than maybe like the Goodwrench black car, or even the blue Wrangler car for you?
Um, no, it just it always caught my eye. This was his 1997 All-Star race car, and I'm not aware if he drove it any other time. Maybe he did, but and to be honest, I guess I'll be hated now by some, but I was never a huge Earnhardt fan. But his paint schemes are always nice, and I spent a lot of time doing this because all the text, except for the decals, but all the text and the food city on the pillar on the back window, it was it was just really not meticulous. What's the word? Uh, it took some time. It took some time. And finding the right logos, I wanted to be as authentic as I could, and as old as it is, some of these logos were hard to find correctly anyway. And I'll tell you a secret. There's two contingency decals that are not correct. Other than that, yeah, I spent some time on it, and I'm like they say, I never win anything. This is pretty cool.
I say, and you're right though. And that's exactly as I believe you're spot on. I was trying to do some digging while you're mentioning that the Wheaties thing, and I think it may just be the All Star race car. I'm not 100% sure, but um, and yeah, I mean, obviously you probably saw some of the paint schemes that I had set up for my dad and myself, and we're kind of more on the Waltrip side of things growing up. So I was never big on Earnhardt either, but it's one of those things where when you look down the line, you realize the importance for the sport and all that. And I do the same even now with Jimmy Johnson, where I was really mad about his run of championships, but and I think you nailed it there as well, Bob, with just the time and that these things take, especially on the throwback ones where you're hunting down the logo. Sometimes you almost have to just try to almost put it together yourself. And I'm looking at the little details that you have, and you're exactly right. I mean, even the front splitter I'm watching right now it isn't white all the way across. It does cut off at that quarter section. So those little details I definitely catch them. They are not missed there. So it's a really good job that that you're able to put on this one. Like I said, there was a lot of hard ones to choose from that were really good tonight. And
Yeah, there was.
it's just
There
yeah,
was.
it's I'd say an unfortunate tonight. Obviously not a tough one for you to say with the bad luck that you had there getting caught up in that incident towards the end. But it's one of those things where I mean we talk about the kind of it's going to be the Bob race where you kind of bide your time and kind of one of those things where once you are in that right position at the end, we see you get those good results. It's so difficult with the kind of the caliber of drivers we have a lot of times. And then just, of course, kind of the crapshoot of if and when there's going to be a wreck, if you're in a safe spot or not. But like I said, unfortunately, the result wasn't what you want tonight, but just, yeah, great. Like I said, I love the paint scheme. I'll be curious to see in the future races who's going to say, you know what, I kind of want to stick with the one that I was able to paint, especially when you put so much time and effort in. It's hard to kind of go away from those, I feel like, afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. That I don't really have a favorite. When I'm never satisfied when I paint a car. I'll look at it and I say, I'm going to change the color. Everything else might be the same, just a different color, and I don't know why. I'm just not never satisfied with them. But this one, yeah, this might be a keeper.
Nah, it looks really good. Like I said, that was one that caught Brandon and my eye really quick on. So, like I said, I hate that the night didn't go the way you wanted to, but like I said, I guess if you're gonna have a bad race, might as well look good doing it. So, that said, I know there's
Well,
gonna be some better luck coming your way here soon, Bob. So, again,
this season, I'm sorry,
no, you're good. You're go ahead, sir.
this season it has been absolutely horrible for me. I've been very little help from my teammates, and I just keep getting caught up in stuff and making stupid mistakes sometimes, and really frustrating.
Well, what I can
But
tell
you know,
you
it is what it is.
I can tell you, you are only 3 spots still though out of the cutoff, even with the tough season you've had, and you're only 2 spots behind Dean Wilkinson. So, say it's been a tough season for you, but like I said, there's still time to go to try to get some more spots there. I said I'm looking at the numbers for 12th. I'm trying to get a quick number. I think it's 12 points right now between you and the top 12. So, so there's still races to go, and again, I mean, in these things, you never know how quick fortunes will turn. So hopefully the bad luck's out of the way. We'll get you back up into those top 5, top 10 spots. And like I said, I think one of these times that you put yourself in position and things will you'll get that break that goes your way, and we'll get that podium, if not more, on the result though. But that's unfortunate. It's one of those things where it's why we come back at the same time. It's so frustrating at the same time that brings us back.
it's racing, that's the way it is.
That's exactly it, though. But Bob, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us to be able to show off this game, and like I said, and the time and effort you put in it. Like I said, it looks really, really good, and
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoyed doing it too. Because like I said, Brandon and I, we had a blast watching these. I was teasing him a couple times, basically saying that this is Brandon's Christmas because he's always enjoyed the paint schemes, and then he gets to see all the throwbacks these last couple of nights. It's been a lot of fun for both of us.
Oh, nice. They're good. Yeah, there is some really, really nice looking paint jobs. Um, I was, you know what? To be honest, I was going to do this one or Hot Wheels, and Gabe used the Hot Wheels, so I'm glad I didn't. Otherwise we would have had two of them.
We had a couple of those as well. Dean had mentioned he was looking at a couple that wound up being also used, so it worked out pretty well. I don't think there was really any duplicates. So you guys were all somehow in the same mind wave and able to kind of work it out very well there. But yeah, again,
Yeah,
Bob,
yeah.
thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you back on track soon. Like I said, we'll be shaking that bad luck, and I say Brad and I are gonna
I
do some
hope.
extra effort to avoid that commentator's curse in these future races.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Anytime, sir. Have a great night, Bob.
All right, thanks to you guys. Appreciate your work.
I say you make it easy for us to do, so thank you again.
All right, good night.
All right, Brandon. That is Bob Fitzgerald, and I mean, I'm just looking at this line of cars right here, dude. I mean, you've got the Folgers Mark Martin car, you got the Wheaties car, you got the Chrome Parts America car. I mean, I just can't not help but be happy with these paint schemes as we watch them.
Yeah, I think all the drivers, not only just here tonight, but on Friday, I think not only just me, but the whole booth here, Boom and Gael, we appreciate it. We understand, we heard tonight just how long these paints take, and to take 2 3 hours out of your day, and time is so important, especially these days. To take that just to bring it to a race here on Friday or Sundays, it brings some naturality, to racing, and it's just awesome to see all the time and effort and I mean, you just touched on it there with Bob, how nobody had the same paint scheme. So just how much digging and Bob searching all that time to find those sponsors, and the 90s, it's making us sound old, but that's 30 plus years ago in some ages. So um just the work to put these paint schemes together, it was awesome. I think they put the pressure on the admins, to maybe make this a season thing.
And that's a really, really good point. Is yeah, this would be a lot of fun to see more going forward. And the hardest part for me, I'm guessing for you too, is to really have a decision of which one was the best, if you will, because honestly, it was really hard for all of us because they're so good. Like all of them, like I said, it brings you back to the kind of the nostalgia, and it's like, man, I remember watching these cars race on TV, and the really bad quality TV versus what we have nowadays. And yeah, it's so cool. And yeah, I loved it. It's a lot of fun. I really want to thank Charles for kind of putting this suggestion together and getting it rolling. So he was definitely, I think, the driving force behind this. So big thank you to Charles. And I'm gonna have to figure out. I think we have to figure out a game plan for kind of the voting for next season or next time we do this, because I want it to be more than us. I want to get some more drivers involved, or the YouTube chat especially. I'd love to see some people hop in and kind of make some say, hey, this is my favorite, and yeah, just get a top 3 or something like that. So it'd be a lot of fun to see. But yeah, that was a lot of fun tonight. And what a fight at the end there too, just for the non throwback stuff, just the race itself. A lot going on tonight. Unfortunately, as I said, it's a few guys involved in that last wreck, but just again, the hands of that 16 car just makes it look easy. Makes it sound easy when we talk to them, and we know it's anything but that. So big shout out to all those guys behind the wheels, what they're able to do. Big thank you to you, Brandon, for hopping on. Like I said, I always enjoy doing these with you. Just like I said, the enthusiasm. I said, as soon as we talked about doing this throwbacks, like, oh, Brandon's gonna love this. So I'm so glad we got to do this and kind of be able to show off these great schemes with you as well.
Yeah, the paint schemes, I mean, they're awesome, and just it just brings back history. I mean, as you talked about in the beginning of the race, just the history with your family and where you were at a kid when you seen those first paint schemes, or maybe at some point, you remember that car and that paint scheme, and that's why you started watching racing. But the one thing that really caught my eye from tonight, the eyes was on the paint schemes and all that, but um dude just reminded us all, as yeah, we're racing on a sim and we're racing against friends, but the competition is still real. Him saying, I'm pretty upset, like we had a chance to win this thing and we didn't accomplish it. Now our team's upset, and we got offset by the paint schemes and talking about that, but how just competitive these guys are and how good of drivers these are. What Cody did tonight, 9 out of 10 drivers is turning that thing around and wadding the field up. So just the talent of these guys just makes this racing awesome, and I can't wait to get to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be back here in a couple nights' time on Tuesday night for the IndyCars, and then back again on Friday and Sunday night as well. So really, really appreciate you hopping on and watching here at Green White Checker TV. And again, if you're interested in the league itself, it's area51iracing.com. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, for supporting us. As I saw, again, Jack, hope you're having a great time over there in British Columbia. And again, all the drivers popping in at the end there as well. Great job by all of you tonight with the schemes, with the driving. It was a lot of fun. So we'll be back in a few nights' time. And as always, until next time, take care, stay safe, and have a good night.